Hello, my true crime besties. I hope you're having a great day. This is T from Bed Crime Stories. Hey, 2 free ways you can help me if you enjoy my content. Smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. It's now been 2 months since 6-year-old Lilly and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan were reported missing by their mother, Malaya Brooks Murray. We still have no answers as to what happened to these precious children. Stepdad Daniel Martell and mother Malaya have not been consistent with their timelines and their stories. In addition, whenever you have a case where children go missing and you find out that there have been visits from Child Protective Services, it's a huge red flag. Neither Daniel nor Malaya have really spoken out about what that CPS visit was about. We know that it was generated out of the school that Lilly and Jack attended. Let's talk about the blanket, okay? There is a blanket that apparently is torn apart. It allegedly had been used on a window as sort of a window cover, I guess. I don't know if that blanket was originally Lily's. Daniel Martell has said that it was pink. Apparently, the blanket had been thrown away in the garbage, at least according to Daniel Martell. But then a piece of it or pieces of it were found in various places. Somebody said that it was found in the trees near Lansdowne Road. I don't know if they really meant that or if they meant Gerlach Road. Somebody named Cheryl, who is reportedly a friend of Malaya's, said something about being told that the blanket had been on the railing near the trailer, but she had to admit that she never saw it there. That was just something she heard. Now, Cheryl knew Malaya before Malaya's relationship with Daniel Martell. We've been told that the relationship has been on for either 2 to 3 years. And something that has happened is that when Malaya got involved with Daniel Martell, she seemed to let people from her prior life go away in a sense. She stopped hanging out with her friend Cheryl. So Cheryl really hasn't been in Malaya's life for the past 2 to 3 years. Also, Malaya stopped taking the children over to their paternal grandmother, Belinda Gray's house. And we've also been told that Daniel Martell could be controlling, allegedly. So I'm wondering if Malaya found herself isolated on that property and isolated by Daniel, who didn't want her maybe to go and take the children to see Belinda and didn't want her to hang out with her friend Cheryl. I'm wondering, I'm just saying this based on what Cheryl and Belinda have said. Another thing the two of them have both said is that Malaya, back then when they were hanging out with her, she was a superb mother. She kept the kids clean. She spoke to them in a gentle voice. Cheryl said she never disciplined them. She never yelled at them. So both of those people were very complimentary about Malaya. But again, there's that situation with the CPS report. Did something change in Malaya's life? Did the introduction of the baby Meadow somehow change her dynamic with Lilly and Jack? Why was somebody at their school concerned about them? So I'm wondering if one of the reasons that Malaya took off from the Martell property on the evening of Saturday, May 3rd, is that she wanted out of the relationship. She'd found Daniel controlling, and then, of course, this kid situation. But we've heard from Malaya's relative, Darren Geddes, a story about her potentially sending Lilly and Jack off to the reservation for safety. Darren keeps saying that he believes the children are on the reservation, they're safe, they're sound. He says it like he knows something, but then he always says at the end that he's speculating. Now, Cheryl supposedly is in contact with Malaya, and she said something about the kids being missing and nobody knowing what happened to them. So is that the story that Malaya is telling Cheryl? And if so, does that mean that this whole story about the kids being safe on the reservation is just a big fat lie, a dream, a wish, a positive speculation? Not anybody trying to be malicious, but maybe trying to remain hopeful? I want to talk about the timeline now as well. We're going to talk about the timeline on Friday, May 2nd, the day the children were reported missing. We'll begin at 6:10 a.m. That is when, according to Daniel and Daniel's mother, Janie's brother called her and she missed the call. That call supposedly woke her up. It sounds like she may have called her brother back at 6:15 a.m., and it's unclear whether she and her brother spoke at that time. Now, just 2 to 3 minutes later, Malaya called Lilly and Jack's school, letting them know that her kids, Lilly and Jack, would not be to school that day because they were going to stay home sick. That call was either at 6:17 a.m. or 6:18 a.m., depending upon who you talk to. Now, to make that call, Malaya may have needed to walk down the driveway of the Martell property to get reception. Oh, and by the way, Belinda Gray has said that Daniel Martell showed her his phone to show her the times when Malaya called the children into the school sick on Thursday and Friday. On one day, it was 6:17 a.m., and on the other day, it was 6:18 a.m. We know that Malaya then went back to bed and drifted in and out of sleep, according to her and to Daniel, I believe. Fast forward to 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., and this is when Malaya claims the kids were last seen/heard. She reports that window of time to the police when she later makes the 911 call. And also, Malaya called the kids in sick. She did not do it online, apparently. Now, Darren Geddes, who is one of Malaya's relatives, heard from Daniel Martell's mother, Janie, that between 8:45 and 9 a.m., she supposedly got up and looked out the window and saw Malaya at the end of the driveway holding Meadow, possibly helping the kids into a vehicle. Now, Malaya dialed 911 somewhere either between 9:43 a.m. or 10 a.m. According to Daniel Martell, the police arrived at the scene about 12 to 15 minutes after the 911 call. So let's say the call was made at 10 a.m. That would mean that the police arrived roughly around 10:15 a.m. According to Daniel Martell, Malaya's mother then arrived 16 minutes after the police arrived. So if the police come at 10:15 a.m., then the mother would probably have arrived at 10:30 a.m. That is, again, Malaya's mother. Now, keep in mind that many parts of this timeline are with the word allegedly because it's based on different people's memories, their versions of events. But Malaya apparently reiterated to her ex-mother-in-law, Belinda Gray, that Lilly and Jack were last seen/heard between 8 and 8:30 a.m. If Janie really saw Malaya at the end of the driveway around 8:45 a.m. to 9 a.m., putting the kids in a vehicle, it would appear that Malaya and Daniel waited anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour before they dialed 911. Were they running around all that time looking for Lilly and Jack? Has Janie ever said that she heard them screaming out their names at that time? So all of these people could be telling the truth, all of them could be lying, or they could all be telling some truth and some untruths. But here's the problem with Malaya saying that the kids were last seen or heard between 8 and 8:30 a.m. Daniel Martell has said that Lilly was coming in and out of their bedroom that morning, and the last time she went into the bedroom was about 20 minutes before the 911 call was made. So if the 911 call went in around 10 a.m., that would mean that they last saw Lilly, or Daniel last saw Lilly, at 9:40 a.m. But again, Malaya has said that she last heard or saw the kids between 8 and 8:30 a.m. So who is telling the truth? Who's got the time right here? Daniel or Malaya? Why are they so off with their times? That to me is a red flag, just like the CPS report is a red flag. If Janie really saw Malaya with the kids between 8:45 and 9 a.m., then the time of the disappearance, or quote disappearance, is pretty tight. But if Janie is incorrect, and if she didn't see the kids or hear the kids, and if Daniel and Malaya are lying, then no one can truly 100% know for a fact that the kids were still alive after they were spotted the day before in New Glasgow around, I believe, 2:40 p.m., sometime that afternoon. Lilly and Jack were seen with Malaya, Daniel, and Meadow. And it's weird that a relationship of whether it was 2 years or 3 years suddenly breaks off like that the day after Malaya reports Lilly and Jack missing. We know that there were 2 altercations at the Martell property, allegedly, before Malaya left. The first fight was over Daniel talking about the blanket being found, or a piece of blanket not belonging to Lilly. I guess another fight happened. I don't know what that fight was about, but it does sound like people were ping-ponging back and forth. Not Malaya and Daniel, but their family members. And we know that it was Janie, Daniel's mother, who kicked people off her property. I also heard somebody say that Malaya's grandmother on, I believe, either Friday or Saturday didn't want to leave the house, and I believe they were referring to the trailer that Daniel and Malaya had been living in. Why would Malaya's grandmother not want to leave the house? Now, one of Daniel's relatives, Logan, said that the police know that that blanket was in the garbage at one point. Daniel Martell has said he put the blanket in the garbage about a week earlier because it was damaged. According to Logan, Daniel and his brother went into the garbage. They ripped it open and they filmed it because they wanted to look and see if the blanket was still in the garbage, but it wasn't. But again, you guys, we don't know who we can believe here. Daniel has lied at times. Malaya might be lying. I don't know why Logan would lie. Darren, I don't think lies, but I think he speaks in positive thoughts rather than actual information, if you know what I mean. A lot of people were talking about how Daniel Martell has been criticizing Malaya, which may be evidence that he was very controlling, that he was very critical of Malaya. Maybe she became unhappy. He has said that he was the guy who was taking care of Lilly and Jack because Malaya was so obsessed with Meadow and in love with Meadow that she started maybe neglecting Lilly and Jack. So we know that there was a CPS report on that household over Lilly and Jack before they went missing. That's a red flag. Malaya leaving Daniel right after this happens is a red flag. There's something not right here in that relationship, because if she was truly madly in love with Daniel, and if he was truly loving and supportive of her, then I would imagine they would still be together looking for Lilly and Jack. We know from 2 different people, Belinda and Cheryl, that Malaya her behavior changed after she went to live with Daniel Martell, in that she stopped bringing the kids over to see their grandmother, Belinda, and she stopped hanging out with Cheryl. That does sound like a controlling situation, possibly a partner who is controlling the other partner, saying, I don't want you to leave, you have to take care of the kids. Daniel saying that Malaya was always on her phone and she was ignoring the children, so he had to step up to the plate. Daniel has a way of always taking credit for everything, that he's the good guy, he's the one who's looking for Lilly and Jack, he's the one who was taking care of them when Malaya was devoting herself to the baby. He wrote to me on Messenger that he took Malaya out of darkness and made her happy. So he's either telling the truth or he's trying to play up what a positive force he is in this whole situation. But I also think if Malaya and Daniel were in cahoots somehow and both were a part of the children going missing, wouldn't they stick together and try to tell the same story and provide a united front? That's what makes this case so baffling. And also the fact that Belinda and Cheryl both said that Malaya was a wonderful mother 2 to 3 years earlier when they knew her and were spending time with her and Lilly and Jack. But Belinda has said that the only time she really saw Jack smiling was in photos taken of him when he was at school. And she sort of feels like school was a safe haven for Jack. School was his happy place. If that's the case, then home life with Malaya must not have been that spectacular for Jack. So I'm back to thinking that I don't believe the kids are being kept safe on the reservation. I think that the reservation would come out and say that by now. And I think that Cheryl, who said she was hanging out with Malaya, would maybe have some insight to that. Because if Malaya knew that the kids were safe, wouldn't she confide in Cheryl, maybe? Again, Cheryl said, no one knows what happened to Lilly and Jack. I think there were changes in Malaya after she broke up with Cody and went to be with Daniel Martell. I think changes took place over those 2 to 3 years. She had another baby. She went to live on the Martell property, which doesn't exactly look like the best house in the neighborhood. It's more like a mom, pa, kettle kind of place. Stuff everywhere, and Belinda has said the inside of the trailer mirrored the look of the property outside. And I've said this all along, that whole look and everything inside, to me spells dysfunction. Something's not right there. It's being said that Daniel's mother, Janie, is considering doing an interview with CBC News in Canada. She wants to do it with Darren by her side. I hope she does that because having different voices here can add to the picture, and she was home on the day that the kids were reported missing. This is the kind of case where you could just break down in tears if you spend too much time thinking about Lilly and Jack and looking at their photos. They are vulnerable children who needed protection. They are like Sebastian Rogers, Summer Wells, so many others. And there's a CPS report associated with this household, just like there were CPS reports associated with Sebastian Rogers' household and Summer Wells. Red flag, guys. This is not your average some stranger comes up and steals the children. Once again, I'm back to the place where I believe all the answers lie in the trailer, and they lie with Malaya and Daniel, or one of the two of them. The stories aren't straight, the timelines aren't meshing. Both Daniel and Malaya have tripped over their words at times. Usually when you're telling the truth, you kind of flow. You may reflect, your eyes will go off to the side as you tap into your brain to recall the events. I know the behavior panel has done this case now. I haven't seen what they've said. I'll be interested to watch that maybe tonight. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you next time on Bed Crime Stories. Now smash that like button and have a very happy 4th of July, and watch for a little treat from me tomorrow on my channel. See ya.